already know what it is. It's another week of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. We got some big things to talk about today.
You don't gotta be perfect, you just gotta get started. Don't overthink it. Just go where your heart is, turn your dreams and your goals. Let your goals shape how you live. Success is inevitable if you're willing to give up your old self to become someone new. To be the never be afraid to do you in front of the critics, sideline judges, non-believers, people holding their grudges. Appreciate the hate. It comes with the winning. When your wife making the money, you're unstoppable from the beginning. Your excuses are useless. Let your actions be part of the solution and watch the income it produces. Recognize greatness, a supreme revelation. Years of blood, sweat, and tears to become an overnight sensation. Can't do it alone. I should have said this first. Teamwork always makes the dream work. Teamwork always makes the dream work.
You know what it is. It's another episode of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. And I have on our guest show today my brother, my co-author, Mr. Paul Hoyt. And yes, this is a 2 episode. I want to first give a shout to Miss Mary Griffin, who was supposed to join us today, who had a last minute emergency. You know, we wish that everything is going well for you and yours. But you don't have to be perfect. And today we will be discussing the launch of Curing Racism. So yesterday, myself and my co-author, Mr. Paul Hoyt, launched the book. More importantly, I think we launched a movement, right, in releasing Curing Racism. First and foremost, we released it yesterday on November 2nd because it was November 2nd is a special day in race relations, right? It was the day Paul was born, right? And Paul is very important to who we are, what we're doing, and how we see life. So we thought the best way to really celebrate the world and celebrate Paul's birthday was to give Curing Racism to the world. So thank you, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paz. Thank you, Paz. This has been quite the journey over these last almost 10 years or so since we met each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this has been a journey in putting this together. It's funny because I had some great people who bought the book already. Some people have downloaded the book. So you can download the book right now for free for another 24 hours. You can get the Kindle version for free. But some people bought the book and they saw this picture in the background, right? The picture of a young Paz and a young Paul. And they asked, is Paul someone you just wrote a book with? Or is Paul someone you know?
Ah,
That Paul isn't someone I wrote a book with or someone I know. Paul is family, you know. And family's not always what you're born into, right? The great family are the ones that you choose. You know, Paul chose to love me at a time when I was partially still broken. I had one wing going, but that other wing was still broken. I was still flying in circles.
the wing. Hey, the wing that you had I had no idea that you had one wing broken. So here's the story. We met at a business conference, I think in March of 2015.
Yes,
and this guy walks up to me and he says, "Hi, I'm Paz. I'm the happiness engineer." And he had such incredible joyfulness about him that I just fell in love with the guy. I thought, oh man, this guy's like my new best friend that I just met like 30 seconds ago. And then I asked myself the question, why doesn't everybody love Paz? And then a little bit deeper, where does this thing called racism come from? And when did it start and why did it start and why did slavery exist in the first place and when did that start happening, and just began to ask myself those questions about why we here in the United States, and as it turns out in many countries around the world, have this tendency to be racist. And where does tribal conflict come from and all of that? And that's what led to the creation of this book, was us doing our research. In fact, we hired, graduate students to go out and do the research, because this was long before artificial intelligence. And we hired people to go out and actually do this research to compile this book, and came to this deep, deep understanding of why racism exists in the first place, the damage, the impact that it has caused throughout the centuries, throughout the millennia, and most importantly, what we can do about it.
And I love that you pointed out that we actually did some research, that we paid some people to do some research, and that this isn't just a book of our opinions. Right? This isn't just, hey, Paz and Paul says, hey, curing racism, that's great to do, because I could smile big and do that, but know that we actually took the time. And one of the things that I think we spent the most time on wasn't actually the research, which did take a lot of time, right? But making this book easy to condense and easy to digest for those who actually want to be a part of the change. If you want to be, the person that wants to lead one conversation, be that one connection. If you want to be that one heart that we now uh, enter into this world of love, we made this book, I think, easy enough for 8-year-old to understand. Now, will they understand every concept? Possibly not, but I think it's easy to digest, it's easy to understand, and a great way to start a real conversation.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's been quite the journey over these years, and I'm looking forward to, putting the message out to hundreds, thousands, bunches and bunches of people, and then do what we can to educate people about the causes, the impact, and the cures of this challenge that we certainly have here in our country, of racism.
And it's so necessary right now, where division is at its highest, I think, since segregation, right? At this point, right, there was a point in America where we were looking to combine, right? We heard America was the great melting pot. I
Yeah.
know, uh, but where we are right now is people are looking to be those standout ingredients. Like, instead of just melting together, most people want to be the Tabasco sauce. They want to be too hot, or they want to be the salt. They want to be a little too spicy, you know. Where all I need is a little good gumbo, right? That's how you put it all together, and it all just tastes good, you know. I think what this book allows us to do, right, is turn America into a great bowl of gumbo again, right? We can all come together. We can all build those bridges. And do we have to get them all right? No. Do you have to like every black person? No. I don't like every black person. Do you have to like every white person? No.
No,
I definitely don't like every white person. But you do have to love people, right?
yeah.
It's not about black, white, orange. You know, what this book allows us to do is not like you for you or love you for you. Not because it is scared. I don't like you because you're a jerk. It don't matter if you're a black jerk, white jerk, orange jerk, Chinese jerk. You know what I mean? You're a jerk. You know, my daughter used to dance to that song. You're a jerk. You're a jerk, right? I don't like you for that reason, right? It doesn't matter your color, and then I love you for this, because you're compassionate. I love you because you care. I love you because you choose to understand, right? Me and you, what people don't understand is we don't. see eye to eye 100% of the time. I think that's what allows us to grow, right? But what we do see is our intentions are the same, right? I know you want to make a better world. You know I want to make a better world. So sometimes how we there doesn't matter. Um, God rest his soul. Bernie Dorman was how we met at his conference. He used to say to me, "It doesn't matter how you get across the street, as long as you get across the street." And so you can start off walking, and while you're walking, you may find a skateboard and get there faster. While you're on the skateboard, you may find a bike and get there faster. And on that bike, you may find a car to get there even faster. The vehicle doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the driver.
I love that. I love that.
You
One of
know?
the things I like to say about the purpose, the intent, the value of the book Curing Racism is simply this: that when we learn to see through the superficial differences that divide us, we can discover and embrace those common values that unite us. When
Yes.
we can look at another person who may not be dressed like us, look like us, talk like us, they might be wearing a hat that makes us think they belong to one of those tribes over there. But if we can see through those superficial differences and we can ask them questions about, who do you love? What do you do? What do you love to do? And what are your dreams? And really make that connection, that begin that conversation, then make the connection one heart at a time, as the tagline of the book says, then we can begin to overlook those minor differences and really embrace the common values that unite us: love for family, wanting to be healthy and happy, wanting to be secure in our retirement, wanting to do the best for our kids and our grandkids. Those are common values that we all share, regardless of what color our skin is or what temple we worship at.
I love that. I got a review um, last night from uh, someone who knew me in high school,
Mm.
and they said that this book, whether I knew it or not, was my life legacy because I started curing racism in high school. I was the first black child to go to my high school. It was a 250-year-old school. I was the first black male to walk in. And just by walking in, I started, my presence created conversation, right? And I've been walking that walk for so long, I haven't realized that's just been the walk. So, she's like, as she read the book, she realized how much of what we were doing, right, is the walk. So you put words to the walk, because for a long time you were carrying this. And I want to thank Paul. So when you're doing something, and this is a lesson in partnerships, um, your partner's never going to carry the same weight as you. I don't care who it is. They may they're gonna they may carry more weight than you or less weight than you at some point, but they're never going to carry the same weight as you. In the beginning of this journey, Paul carried the weight of wanting to get this done. Like we and his desire to get this done made it where not only do we have an amazing message to share with the world, we've come up with amazing workshops. We've tested amazing workshops. We've gone into community to see how this works. I've walked away from this a few times in frustration with the world, right? For you to go, pass. We have a great product. We need to share it. So in partnerships, you know, one of the things you need sometimes is someone to believe, even
Mm.
when you don't. So in this case, Paul had great sense of faith, not just in curing racism, but in me, because he could have walked away and did this with anyone. but he chose to walk with me. So I thank you for your patience during those times, right? It's easy to, like, when we have a finished product like this, right? And this is an amazing finished product. When you have a finished product, people tend to celebrate the success as they should, right? But most people are afraid to share the journey,
Mm.
right? This journey all uh wasn't all shits and giggles, right? Like we we involved a few different people in our process along the way that didn't make it, right? We've had a few different personalities try to shift where our messaging,
Mm.
because we were still finding out how we wanted to unleash this to the world, right? But one thing I can say is, through all of the thicks and thins, through all of the people that we've allowed to review, view, and put input, that we've always stuck to our guns. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we have such an amazing product now. Like, because people tried to take us off of tribalism and understanding what that research was, to change the message, but our our willingness to stand firm in our truth, because I think this is a joint truth that we get to share. You know, our willingness to stand in our truth, I think, will make a huge impact on the world, because no one is talking about curing isms,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I love that.
and, and how do you cure not just racism? How do you cure all isms, right? One conversation, one connection, one heart at a time. If you can walk into a community that you don't identify with, which means they don't look like you, they may not talk like you, they may not smell or dress like you. If you could walk into that community with the confidence of yourself and just say hello, I am, and extend your hand, right? That can change so much, because you don't have to fit in, because we were all born to stand out. But in our standing out, we begin to fit in.
I think that this is a thinking person's book. It came about from the questions that I asked myself about why does this happen and what is the history of this, and doing all of the research on it. And we have really thought this through, and understanding that racism today is a merger of several different factors of our tribal instinct, of our natural aggressive tendencies, of our tendency to come to invalid conclusions and have invalid generalizations, and the the way that we can be manipulated by people in power. There's oftentimes people in power want to manipulate other people into thinking that it's those guys over there, it's those other people who are the source of all of your problems. If you just follow me and listen to me, we can rise up together, but we got to put them down in order to lift us up. They believe in a world where there's not enough resources to go around. There's not enough love to go around. And that's not the world that we really live in. The world that we really live in is one of, if we learn to collaborate, if we learn to cooperate with each other, if we learn to share, if we learn to have kindness and forgiveness and acceptance and understanding of each other, there's plenty to go around. So instead of blaming those other people, we can embrace those other people and work together to have common solutions to our natural problems that we have. I don't mean to be a little bit of downer here, but I do believe that tribal conflict is the biggest threat to the survival of the human species. It's not some pandemic. It's not some asteroid hitting the earth. It's not climate change. It's our inability to get along with each other. It's our tendency to be manipulated by people in power who tell us that we have to hate those other people. We have to do wrong to those other people for some crazy reason. And,
I
you
love
know,
you
that,
talking about that. And I wanna build off that because
please do.
what I what we've learned is that it is in the best interest of those people trying to hold on to their grip of power, right? To insert more isms. But what we've also learned is the people that fight to protect these isms are usually the ones that are hurt the most by the isms.
Mm,
So it won't be uh, a rich oligarch who's going to go fight against, the crazy niggas. It's going to be some redneck, long haired, crazy who has everything to lose that's going to fight the niggas. And it won't be some, it won't be some, uh, crazy, um, person that gets to walk into the spaces that they think they're going to walk into to represent themselves, right? I always love um when we talk about the Aryan race, right? Right? So and how extreme that was, right? Blonde hair, blue-eyed white people were supposed to be superior, right? And how even amongst that tribe, the division it caused, right? Because if you weren't a blonde haired, blue eyed white person, you weren't an Aryan, right? If you were, so there are always ways to divide us, but the people that were hurt the most weren't the ones that were going to go to benefit the most, right? The oligarchs made a lot of money. So as we're seeing the poverty divide go and increase, you'll start to see a push on isms, right?
yeah.
You'll they'll try to racism will be pushed to the forefront. Classism will be pushed to the forefront. Sexuality, any way to divide us. That's why
Yeah.
I say this book is so important at this time because it asks the unique questions that allows us to build the bridge. Can when we can't solve every problem, and that's not even our job, but we can build a bridge so people can have conversations.
I love that. And racism has evolved over the years. Here in the United States, at first it was slavery and the dark colored skinned people, and now at times it's been the Chinese, at times it's been the Japanese, and just in the last few years, with the rhetoric coming out of Washington, it's been immigrants. I think that there are people up there that would have you believe that any immigrant to the United States, especially Hispanic immigrants, are somehow bad for this country. That they're all bad people. And that's not my experience at all. Some of my good friends have immigrated from Europe, have immigrated from Asia, have immigrated from Mexico, and they're really good people who really were courageous and brave and incredibly strong to change countries, to learn new languages, to do the best that they could for their children, for their families. In my experience of immigrants is they're just almost all really beautiful people, but yet there are people who will have us say that because we can point to one or two bad apples, that they are all, to be disparaged in some way. They're all eating our cats and dogs, for God's sakes. Um, and they take advantage again of human nature and our tendency to believe those in power and our tendency to make false and invalid generalizations about an entire group of people based on the actions of a few.
I love it. So what it is they tend to lean into our fears,
Yeah.
right? Fear is just false evidence appearing real, right? So they lean into our fears, that, this person has to be bad. And what I've learned, and I've been blessed to have had, been well traveled and been in many different communities. What I've learned is that there are good people and bad in every community. How about that? Right? There's good people. There's for every bad black person, there's a great black person. For every bad white person, there's a great white person. For every bad Chinese person, and we can keep going through. There's good people and bad people in everything. If you choose to focus on just the bad people, you know, then you'll get more of that. John Assaraf says it best, right? Where where we tend to focus at, right, we get more of, right? So if you are focusing on everyone being bad white people, you're gonna get all bad white people. You're focusing on every black person being a gangbanger. Yep, that's what you're gonna find. But if you're focusing on seeing greatness in everyone, Les Brown, right, says there's greatness within you. Right? If you're focusing on seeing the greatness within everyone, or we hear it said even best um, in the Indian culture, right? Namaste, right? To salute the deity in you, right? If we look to do that, right, we can see and be blessed by so much more because there is God in all of us, right? And there may be a little bit of devil in some of us, but there's God in all of us, so we can salute the deity. If I can see, Paul for his greatness that at in his 70s, he's still running 5 miles. And then I told him the other day I can run a mile, 2 miles on any moment. So I tested myself, and that Friday getting Paul shape, right? So there is so much, right? Like this, we can find, right, a reason to celebrate people for, just like you can find a reason to kick
Yes.
people. Like
So
you can kick me because
if
I'm
you
not
haven't done so, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
okay. No, I was gonna say you
Uh,
can kick me because I'm not 6 feet tall.
well, I think that you might be a half inch taller than me. I'm not sure, but I seem to be shrinking here over the course of the last decade. So if you haven't done so, go to Amazon, look up Curing Racism, download the free Kindle copy today. If you haven't watched this in time to get the free Kindle promotion, the Kindle copy is only going to be $4.95. The paperback is only $9.95. It's well within any budget for you to grab a copy of it, read it. You'll love the little engaging paragraphs at the start of each one of the chapter. And you can be one of those people who thought it through. And you can be one of those people that sees through those superficial differences. You can be one of those people who has those conversations, who makes those connections that open up your heart and perhaps open up the heart of other people too. Join our team, help us do what we can to cure racism here in this country and around the world.
I love it. So go to curingracism.com if you want to join our launch team, if you want to help get this good word out, if you want to see how we can get this word to your people, if you want to bring us out for a seminar, webinar, or any kind of discussion, go to curingracism.com. You can get all of those great things. Outside of that, go to Amazon and go and download the Kindle version while you can. This is a great 30 minutes, Paul.
Always is with you, Paz. Love you, brother.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna sign off. But I'm going to ask you to sign off the way everyone has signed off, and that's by saying our personal manifesto. So my personal manifesto is simple. I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care. But the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. I'll do it in call and response. Ready? I love me.
I love me.
I'm worthy.
I am worthy.
Some people may not like me,
Some people may not like me,
but I don't care
but I don't care
because the people that matter
because the people that matter
will be glad that I'm
will
here.
be glad that I'm here.
And yes, we are. We were glad you spent this time for us to talk about curing racism. We're glad that you actually believed in me enough to stand through 10 years of nonsense. We're glad that we are finally bringing this to the world. And we only have 2 weeks left of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. So 2 weeks left is season 2. So we have some great guests coming. Thank you, Paul Hoyt, for joining us. Make sure you go out and get your copy right now. Go to Amazon right now and get your copy of Curing Racism, or go to our website, curingracism.com, to join our launch team. Paul, I'll let you have the last word.
I'll just end with the way that I like to end all of the meetings that I run. And it goes like this: until we meet again, be brave, be strong, be wise, and as much as you possibly can, love everyone and everything all the time. Love you. Good night.
Love you, Paul. This was You Don't Have to Be Perfect. Get your books now.